Will Bragg again starred with a bat for Glamorgan as they made slow progress on the opening day of their LV County Championship match at the Essex County Ground in Chelmsford, where Rhys Topley returned to the action by claiming 6 wickets. Batting first after winning the toss, the Welshmen lost their first wicket in the second over. Topley, playing in the Championship for the first time this summer, yorking Tom Lansfield for a single with just his 3rd ball. In spite of that early loss, Jacques Rudolph and Bragg made solid, if unspectacular, progress through a large part of the morning session, with boundaries such as these being few and far between. In 22 overs together, this pair were able to add 57 runs against a side which had dropped Monty Panesar for disciplinary reasons. Essex's other left-armer, Topley, who's been missing this season in the 4-day game after suffering a stress fracture of his back during the winter, will have been pleased with his start, especially with the use of the Yorker. But it wasn't him, but Greg Smith who got the next breakthrough. The spinner struck with his 7th delivery by straightening a ball to have Rudolph LBW for 20. Bragg, who has easily been the best batsman for his county this year, survived until lunch and then passed the 50 mark for the 4th time this season by cutting Tom Craddock through the covers for his 7th 4 off his 113th delivery. But next ball, with a total on 94, his partner Ben Wright deflected a delivery from Topley off bat and body to Jake Mickleborough in the gully. Wright was out for 13, but Bragg remained, and he then became just the 3rd batsman in the 2nd division of the LV County Championship to reach 500 runs in the competition this year. Only Daryl Mitchell and James Vince have scored more runs this season than the Glamorgan number 3 in this division. The one thing the left-hander has failed to do thus far, though, is to get to 3 figures. And that was again the case here, as on his best score of the summer of 93, he gave Mark Patini a bit of catching practice at slip, Craddock collecting his first wicket in his first match of the season. It was a disappointing end to another fine knock from Bragg, a man who'd kept the innings going, albeit at a sluggish rate. Jim Allenby tried to improve that by hitting 2 sixes from the 38 balls he faced. But he was out to a loose shot, having something of a waft at a ball from Jesse Ryder, which he nicked behind to James Foster after making 18. That left Glamorgan on 191 for 5, which soon became 213 for 6, when Mark Wallace nicked off to the rather innocuous-looking Ryder, Tom Wesley with a catch in the slips. The man who'd glued this innings together after the dismissal of Bragg was Chris Cook, who is in good form right now in both forms of the game. His 2nd successive 50 in this competition was earned off a very patient 126 balls, from which he'd found the boundary only twice. He needed to keep going now, especially after Graham Wagg gave Topley his 3rd wicket of the day with an edge into Ryder's breadbasket. Cook needed to guide the tail to try to get as many runs as possible. He added another boundary to take the total onto 243. But Topley, now with the 2nd new ball in his hands, then struck again, once more with the perfect Yorker, which proved to be way too good for Dean Koska, who was bowled for 4. Topley then grabbed his 5th wicket next ball, giving the 20-year-old his 6th fifer in his career. Michael Hogan another to hear the dreaded death rattle. And it was 6 for the tall left-armer, 4 coming in the space of 5 overs, when he had Cook held by Ryder after making a solid 68. Glamorgan had been dismissed for 244 right at the end of the day. The hero was undoubtedly Topley, who finished with figures of 6 for 41 from 20.2 overs to keep the visitors' score down to something manageable. Essex will see how they respond when they start their innings on the 2nd morning.